yet?
Here we go. We're officially recording. All right. So let's talk about how to track our leads. I shared a couple times in a couple of my videos over the past couple of weeks to talk about some of the most important things that I think I do and I recommend every one of us be doing is making sure that we have a mechanism in place for how we are tracking and maintaining our leads. But that's not an easy process, is it? It's a bit of a cumbersome process to try to figure out how do I capture and gather all these different connections and all these different leads from all these different places and then funnel them into an area where I can keep track and maintain them. And I've come up with different variations of ways to do this over the years. And I feel like I've got myself in a really, really nice rhythm now where I've got a great template that I've created, which I've shared with you. And this thing really, really works. And it's once you get it populated, getting it populated with your information is a little bit of an animal. So there's a little bit of a learning curve up front, but once you get it populated, it's so effective and it's so easy to use. So that's why we're talking about this morning. And that's why I want to share it with you. All right. So and those guys that are just coming in, good morning. In case you missed it, I post in the Facebook group my updated version, which is an Excel file of my lead tracker, as well as in the chat over here. I've got a link for you, bit.ly/JC lead tracker will take you to a Dropbox file. So either way, you can download that thing and you can look at what we're looking at this morning. So the first thing before I show you my file, let's see if Zoom's being funky this morning. Let's see if Zoom lets me share my screen with you. It's taken a bit, but it looks like it's going to try. Here. Okay. Hopefully y'all can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So before I show you my file, the first thing I want to remind you of is some stats that I shared with you last week. And these are the stats on follow-up. So this is statistically, I actually pulled this originally from 2018. And then I followed it up on 2019 just to make sure it's all still accurate. And this is still very, very accurate in the world of sales. So 40% or 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect, which means basically they have one interaction and stop. They never follow up again. 25% of salespeople make one follow-up contact and stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. And less than 10% of salespeople usually make more than 3 contacts. Now you go to the sales, 2% of sales are made on the first contact, 3% of sales are made on the second, 5% of sales are made on the third, 10% of sales are made on the fourth, and 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact. And this is why I talk so much about impressions and why impressions are so important, because it takes on average 5 to 7 positive experiences with you before someone is usually going to be willing to take a next step with you or commit to you in any level. So this is why we're talking about this morning. So I'm going to swap over to my lead tracker. So this is my lead tracker. And I know when you look at that, that probably looks like a sea of information. And it is a sea of information, but I want to show you how I use this thing and why I believe it's so effective. So before I show you mine, let me show you the one that I gave you, which is the blank one. And it's really quite simple, guys. So basically, this is how it works. Let's say I'm doing a live stream or I'm doing a video on YouTube or whatever. And let's say a guy named John Smith leaves me a contact or leaves me a comment on my YouTube video that says, "Love this broadcast today, Justin, definitely subscribing to your channel." Perfect. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put in John Smith and I'm going to put in source is YouTube. And right now he is a cold lead. That's all I know about John right now. John Smith, YouTube, cold lead. Now, I'm going to look up. Now, hopefully his name is more unique than John Smith because John Smith is a pretty broad name. But hopefully you'll find some sort of a unique name. So let's say for the sake of uniqueness, let's say Victoria. Let's go with Victoria. Let's put Victoria in here. So let's say Victoria is brand new. Victoria leaves me a comment on my YouTube video. Says, "Justin, love this. Thanks so much for the content. Subscribing to you. Definitely following your channel." Perfect. Victoria. Source is YouTube. She's a cold lead right now because she's just a lead, but we don't have any sort of a warm connection yet. All right. Then the next thing that I want to do once I take some time is I want to get to know, see if I can get her on Facebook. So the first thing I'll do is I'll go to Facebook and I'll look up her name on Facebook. Now that can sometimes be tricky because sometimes I might type in Victoria Monk and there might be, one person or 2 people. And I'm like, perfect. I can look at profile picture versus the picture of the comment on YouTube, and I can align the two and figure out if that's her. Hopefully I can get to do a Facebook friends. And so Facebook friends, if I can get her on Facebook, I can just simply type a yes there. And then once I get her on Facebook, if she accepts my friend request, that's when I go to Facebook Messenger and I send a voice message. So I've taught this a bazillion times with you guys in my process for how I really start up that initial process with developing leads is make a connection, see if I can get them to be a friend on Facebook. And once I get them to accept the friend request on Facebook, I immediately send them a message in Messenger. So Messenger, send, you know, if I send Victoria a message and she accepts it, I'm going to go right into Messenger. Victoria, what's up, girl? Thank you so much for accepting my friend request. I saw your comment on YouTube. So glad you found my YouTube video helpful this morning. Just wanted to get connected to you on Facebook here because that's where I like to make my connections. Hope you have a beautiful day and hope I see you around the web, more on YouTube. Take care. God bless. Something real simple. So if I've sent her a Facebook Messenger message, then I'll just put a yes in there as well. That way I've got her in there as well. Now I'm working on, at that point in time, I've got almost all of the primary contact information that I want from her. The only thing that's lacking is email. Now email will come eventually. At some point in time, if I'm really working with Victoria and I'm really working on building up those impressions, eventually she's going to land on my website at some point in time, and eventually she's going to either hit a contact form, she's going to subscribe to my what do you call it, my email list, or she's going to download something. So whenever I get someone that will go and download something, I'll get notified, right? I'll get notified via email that somebody downloaded. So as soon as someone downloads, if it says Shelly B549 just downloaded your Goal Crusher from your website, as soon as I see that, I'll send her a message. Thank you so much, Shelly. But then I'll go right to my lead list and I'll go down and I'll sort this by name and I'll go find Shelly. Like, there's Shelly right there. Oops, there. No, I don't want to open that. I don't want to open that. There we go. There's Shelly right there. And I see that she downloaded, like, perfect. I can input Shelly's name. So when I'm looking at my lead list, you'll see that I've got a lot of, majority of my contacts here are filled out. And I've got everybody's information on here. But I also have a good bit of leads down at the bottom. I've got a lot of people on here that I do not have emails for. And so these are people that are fresh, new leads that have just recently connected with me. And I've gotten them on Facebook and I've gotten them on Messenger, but I don't have that email yet. So as soon as I see one of these people download, I can input their email. So that's just a quick kind of how I start out that process. All right. I'm going to pause there for a second. Any questions on that? Make sense? Okay. So this is how I start out with every lead.
Exclamation point.
Say that one more time. Was it Nigel? Did you say something?
No, I thought I was on mute. Sorry.
All right, I'll meet you. There you go. So just to be clear, the only people that I put in my lead list are people that I believe have potential to grow. All right. So if I have someone that watches one of my YouTube videos or watches one of my Facebook videos and says, "Great video, thanks," I'm probably not going to throw them on my YouTube video or on my lead list. Yeah, I'm looking for some sort of inquisition that there might actually be a connection there and I might develop them there. So just because someone left me a comment somewhere does not mean that they're going on my lead list. I'm looking for someone that I believe possibly has potential to grow. So if Victoria is brand new and watches a video and says, "Wow, I so needed this today, trying to figure out how to start a business. Thanks so much for the content, Justin." That's a lead because I know that person has potential and I want to see if I can cultivate that relationship. Just a generic comment is not going to land on my lead list. All right. So once I get her primary contact info and I get that initial interest, the first thing I want to do is Facebook and Messenger, and I want to get contact there because I know I can build impressions through Messenger. All right, so then I want to keep track of where her impressions are. So this is where I would put live stream or video. That was her first impression. Second impression would be Messenger. Maggie, is anyone else having problems with Zoom? Yes. Oh, pause a second. Writing Maggie back. Hang on. Thanks. School started today and Zoom is overloaded. Oh, the pleasure of Zoom. All right. Okay. So as I'm doing this and as I'm tracking one lead at a time, I've got a brand new comment, found her from YouTube or connected through YouTube. She's currently still cold. Got her on Facebook, got her on message. I'll see at one point in time, I'll be able to add in that email. But now I'm tracking the impressions that I've had with her. Now you'll see that I talk about 5 to 7 positive experiences with your brand. I'm tracking all of those experiences. So every lead that I have with somebody, I'm tracking how many experiences I'm having and where those experiences are coming from. So my first good experience with Victoria was my video. Then my second impression would have been my messenger. So now that's where I'm stopping at this point in time. Now let's say she comes back in again and she watches my live again tomorrow. So let's say I go and do another live tomorrow and I see Victoria come in. I'm like, hey, Victoria, no, so nice to see you in here again this morning. Thanks so much for jumping in. Appreciate you. And I have some sort of an interaction with her in that video. And now I know I'm hitting on a third impression because I've had a connection with her in some way. So now I'm up to 3 and I can keep track of those. So basically this process is I'm just tracking what she's doing and how she's interacting with me. And then if she lands on my website, she may eventually land on my website. She might do a free download from my website, or she might participate in maybe she participates in a 7-day challenge. So I could put in here, 7-day challenge. And then maybe eventually maybe she shows up on another live stream. And then eventually maybe she sends me an email asking for help. And then eventually I get to a phone call. Like, seriously, that's usually about how my impressions go. It's usually something along those lines. So all I'm really doing is just keeping track of where these people are. So now if I go back to my own list, this is basically all the people that I keep track of and interact with and where they are in this process. So a couple of cool things about this form and how you can use it. All right. First of all, is every column is sortable. All right. So I'm keeping track of my source. My source is either Facebook, website, Periscope, YouTube, or referral. So if I want to let me look at all the people that have connected to me recently through referral. I can hit this little drop down menu. I'm going to unselect all, and I'm just going to select referral and hit OK. And this is going to show me all the people that have been recently referred to me. I can go back to all, and I can say, let me look at all the people that I would consider, again, in this hot, cold, warm. I start out with cold, then they move to warm, then they move to hot, then they move to client. So I have a lot of cold. So if I click on this arrow down here, or click on the drop down, unselect all, and hit just cold, that's going to show me all the people that I would determine as cold. And this is where I'm at as far as their follow-up process goes. Check marks. Some of these I have on Facebook. Some of them I'm connected through Messenger. Some of them I haven't been able to find them on Facebook yet. Some of them, a lot of these people I've been able to acquire their email through either downloads or through them subscribing to my email list. But I got a whole bunch of these people that I do not have their emails for. So I'm working to grab those. But what moves, in my mind, what moves someone from cold to warm is when I feel like I've had some sort of a personal interaction with them. Does that make sense? Like some sort of an emotional connection. So just because someone, watched 2 live streams and I sent them, this particular person, Amika, just because Amika has watched 2 of my live streams and I sent her a messenger, I haven't connected to her personally yet. I don't feel like I have an open door to really talk openly with her yet. So she's still cold. She's still checking me out, but she's still cold. Tammy, go ahead.
I have a question. When do you update this list? With every contact or once a day?
Usually what I do, I'm still trying to figure this out and get a rhythm of this for myself, but I try to do it twice the week. And right now my rhythm is I do it at the end of day Wednesday and end of day Friday. And so basically whatever interactions happen on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I try to go through and update this thing on Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday, I try to update it by Friday before I go into the weekend because I like it to be updated going into the weekend. That's kind of my general rule. But then sometimes it's just on the fly. So when I watch my premiere of my YouTube video comes out, and let's say Carnita comes in, maybe she was new from last time. So maybe I'm going through and I'm watching my video and I see Carnita come in and I know that I connected with her last week. I'm like, I know Carnita's on my lead list. So while I'm sitting there watching my YouTube video, I may just pop up my lead list right open right now and just type in here, you know what? Carnita came in on my live stream again. I have got to find her on Facebook. And so I'll just make a quick note. You know, I talk about my hit list all the time when I'm working, and I always have that. I always have a running hit list on the side over here. I'll just drop a quick note, find Carnita on Facebook, and just drop that off to the side so I can remember to track that. Because now I've got her in 2 live streams. This means she's keeping up with me, and she's probably going to be very likely to accept a connection. So my next step with her is I want to get her on Facebook. Sometimes I'm too busy and there's too much stuff going on. Like I get a lot of hits on my website while I'm working throughout the day. So I'm not trying to immediately grab those and update them all the time. But in certain situations, if it's fresh on my mind and I have a second, I'll jump right in here and I'll update it, because I think you guys can probably imagine this process. You can fall behind real fast, and you can miss stuff real fast. So you kind of got to just figure out your method for when you are going to keep up with it. But that's kind of my general rules. I try to go to it intentionally, spend time to make sure everything's updated in here twice a week, Wednesday and Friday. And then if things happen on the fly, I'll update it whenever I can on the fly, just to make sure that no one falls through the cracks. Because really what this is not a lead list. This is a money list. This is my business. This is my book of business right here. Really it is. And so I'm like, whenever I get to my point, wherever I get the feeling where I'm just like not in the mood, where I'm like, you know, I don't want to sit and work on my lead list. It's like, do I really want to say that I'm not in the mood to work on the people that are going to be most likely to hire me in the near future? Because it really is. My paying clients come off of this list. The people that I'm really, really focused on and intentionally on, I'm really making sure that I'm following these impressions, come off of this list. So it is an important process to keep track of. So from hot to cold, I have cold, warm, hot, and client. Okay. So cold is basically, again, initial connection. Maybe they've connected me a couple times. Maybe I've even gotten to them on Messenger, but they're going to remain cold if I don't feel like I've had a personal experience with them. Once I feel like there's been some sort of a personal connection, or I feel like I've accomplished a lot of impressions, then I'll move them into warm. So if I drop cold and I switch to warm so we can see my warm, you can see all of the connections that my warm ones have. Majority of my warms have had 10, 11, 12 plus connections. And so my warm ones, there's a lot going on. I don't think I have any warm connections that I do not have their email. No, I have a lot. Everybody on here, I have their email. These are people that have basically been connecting with me for a while, but they've never taken the step yet to hire me. So warm is just, they're really great connections. I've got great rapport with them. Really what these are great followers, great supporters, great subscribers, but I haven't found that trigger yet to get them to a point where they're ready to invest in me. I usually do not have a long list of hots. My hot list is usually pretty short. And the difference between warm and hot is they have not opted in for a phone call yet. My hot list is they've opted in for a phone call but haven't bought anything yet. That's the only difference with my hot list. So with my warm list, I've got, in a lot of cases, 15 impressions on every single one of these. And, at some point in time, I just stopped tracking them because I've done so many impressions. So what gets someone from my warm list to my hot list is when I'm able to get them to commit to a phone call. As soon as they commit to a phone call, I switch them to hot, and now they're a hot because I've either going to have that phone call or I've already had the phone call and they haven't bought anything from me yet. And the reason why my hot list is usually short is because once I get people on the phone, I'm really good at closing them. So I don't usually have a lot of people on my hot list. So if I'm, I haven't had this in a while, but for a long time, as I was working through this, if I went through a season where like business was really down and I'm like, I need to generate some volume right now. If you don't have this, it's so hard to know, like, where do I even start? Who do I talk to? Where do I even go? But now if I'm looking at, you know what, I could really use an extra $5,000 this month. Instead of just being like, I guess I could make another video. Or maybe I should try to do, instead of sitting shooting in the dark and be like, let me look at my lead list, man. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this hot filter, and I'm going to take these handful of people right there and be like, all right, where are these each one of these people at? And I'm going to sort through each one of those different people, and I'm going to look at which one of those do I feel has the most likelihood to be pushed over the edge. And so what I'll usually do if I go through that hot list is I will think of the last conversation we had or the last email we had, and I'll think of the package that person was or considering, and I'll throw them a bone. And I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to do a 48-hour promotion, just reaching this out to an exclusive 5 people. You're the one of the people on my mind because we've had a phone call before. I'm going to be doing 20% off my branding package for 48 hours only. Is that something that you'd be interested in? And I'll just send private messages through Messenger to that hot list and just throw them a bone of something that I think might just push them over the edge. And usually when I do that, I get about maybe, it's probably not quite half, maybe like 40% of people will jump on that and invest in something. And sometimes they just needed a little bit of a nudge. For the ones that don't bump on a promotion like that, then in some cases I'll do another tactic, is I'll do a vision casting email. And basically what I'll do is I might grab one of these hot ones. So let's say Angie. So I might grab Angie and be like, you know what? Angie's connected to me in a lot of different ways. She's done, if I look at Angie's done free downloads. She's done challenges. I've had phone call with her. She's done it all. I need to get her to buy. And one of the things that may be holding Angie up is Angie may be struggling with a vision for what's really possible for her. So I might take 30 minutes and just refresh myself on everything that Angie's doing and everything that we've talked about, and I'll write up an email. I'll say something along the lines of, Angie, what's up, girl? Listen, I was thinking about my business and working through some of my clients this morning, and you're just really heavy on my mind. So I thought I just wanted to put some thoughts together to your business and give you some ideas of where I see you going and what I really believe you could do in this business over the next year. And I don't say anything about me. This is not about what I could help you with or how I would like to help you. It's what I believe you could do. And I'll send an email and be like, the first thing is, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I highly believe you could be a paid public speaker. If that's something that you've ever considered, highly encourage you to pursue that. And I'll give her some thoughts on how you would get started, what you could do, where you could do it, blah, blah, blah. Then I could see you doing this, this, and this. And I'll do like a vision cast email where I'll give them like 5 different income streams that I believe that they could do. And then when I do that, I'll send that to them and be like, just let me know your thoughts on all this. This is just what's on my mind for you right now. And if you want to talk about it, feel free certainly to reach out to me. Usually when I send those emails, it drops like a bomb. Boom. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've been praying about this. I've been thinking about this. You're amazing. Are you inside my head? Can we talk? Absolutely. Get on the phone. And usually I close it. So those hot leads are ones that you can go to. And then again, maybe my hot list is short and I'm like, yeah, I've pushed every button I can with those hot ones. Maybe I just need to take a look at my warm ones. Then I can click on the warm ones and I can look at some of these names. I can start looking at some of these people that have connected to me in different ways and be like, you know what, that particular person, has been really interactive lately. Wonder what it would take to get them onto a phone call. And so I'll brainstorm. So maybe I'll take that particular person and I'll be like, I'll look at their Facebook page for a second. I'll look at their business page. I'll try to figure out any content they're creating, look at their posts, and I'll try to get an idea what they're up to or what they're trying to do. And then I'll feed into that with some ideas that I think will help them and see if I can get on the phone with them. So this is my book of business. This is how I maintain, manage, and keep track of all of my people. I'm going to stop there for a second because I can't see the chat. I want to make sure I can see everything and everybody. Anybody have questions on that so far? Let me swap over to full screen so I can see.
How do you become that closer that we know that you are? I want some of that magic.
How do I become what's my process, or how do I?
No, I know what your process is. I want that magic personality that you have.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite things is getting on the phone with you and you just your brain just explodes with ideas and you infuse me with the confidence to believe that I can do this thing. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
That's intentional. And thank you for that, Tammy. I appreciate it. That is intentional. you guys have heard me say this before, but this really is how I am. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson. Honestly, I hate salespeople. I hate when I feel like someone's trying to sell me something. Because I feel like whenever I feel like I'm being sold to, I feel like someone's trying to manipulate me into a decision that I'm not ready to make. Right. So when I think about that for myself, that's why like Courtney and I had to go buy some new appliances recently, and so I'm like, oh, I hate this process. Can we just buy them on Amazon? Like Courtney's like, I need to see it. I want to feel it. I want to look at it, touch it. I'm like, all right, but I know how it goes because I've been in sales my whole life. As soon as you walk in there, here they'll come. Hey, I'm like, you don't really care that I'm here. You care about my credit card. So it's like, it irritates me just the feeling like I'm being sold to. So usually what happens is I come, if we go into a retail environment, I'm like, I come out, with my guard up and I'm looking for the first salesman. Come on, just come over here a second.
This video, I'm going to show you how anyone can.
There we go. I got Maggie off. I'm like, just come on over here a second. And they come over here. I'm like, we're looking. We're probably going to buy something. I know how to make my own decisions. I don't need your input. If I need your input, I'll ask for it. So leave us be. And as soon as I need you, I'll come talk to you. And they're like, I'm going to make your life easy. You don't have to convince me of anything. If I decide I'm going to buy something here, you'll be the first to know. Okay, let's go look at our stuff. Leave me alone, right? Because I don't like being sold to. So when I feel that way, I think it's important for me to make sure that as I'm interacting with my audience, I really want my audience to know that I'm not a salesperson. My mission is not to sell you something. My mission is to serve you, to help you, to guide you, to show you what you need to be doing. So throughout my lead list and the way I manage this lead list and keep track of all these people, when I'm looking at impressions, I'm really just asking myself, when I'm looking at this impression list and I'm keeping track of who I've engaged and how and what way, I'm really just asking myself, when's the last time I made an impact on them? And what can I do to make another impact on them today? If I've got someone that's come this far with me, why have they stopped? That's another good thing too. If I'm looking at all these cold and I'm looking at people that have, live after live after live after live, or they're making impressions, but I still have them on cold. Why do I feel like we're still cold? So because after a while you start recognizing people, right? You start recognizing names. So I can sort down through that list and be like, man, I got Tracy's been on here and she's watched so many lives, but I still feel like she's cold. I don't feel like we've had a connection. What's up with that? And so I'm sincerely looking at what do I need to do to make a really good impact on her? And so in some cases, I might just shoot him a message and be like, I'm just curious, what's your biggest challenge you're facing this week, Tracy? I'm just curious if I have a resource that might be able to help you. And I might just reach out. I send so many messages throughout the day, and majority of the messages are coming from that list. It's just connect to that list. Does that make sense, Tammy? It's just kind of how I work that list. So let me pull this list up again and just see if there's anything else I want to show to you before I let you go. So again, everything on here is sortable. So you can sort it alphabetically if you want to if you're looking for a particular name. So if someone, for example, goes to my website and downloads something from my website this morning and their name is, Audrey Lamb at live.com, and Audrey Lamb downloaded your Gold Crusher, then I can come over to here and I can sort it. And I can go down through here and I can be like, yep, there's Audrey right there. So I can highlight Audrey, and then I can come down here at impression and I can say today she downloaded Gold Crusher or whatever. Or maybe Audrey reaches out to me and says she wants to talk to me on the phone. I can change this to email. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you too, and I'm in the process of updating this, I'm working on this list for you guys, is this last section is I have a notes section. Now, I'm in the process of, before this was just my lead list. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually building this into being my entire email list, not just a lead list. Because I have lists everywhere. I have a lead list, and then I've got my email list from my website, and then I've got another email list from my app, and I've got a custom email list on my desktop. So I'm working on building this all into one form. So this is actually my entire email list, or it will be eventually. So what I'm going to be doing now is, as I work through these different impressions with people, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put notes to myself about where I think they are, or where I think a great next step would be. So then if you know, so if I have a great interaction with somebody today on my live or whatever, and then let's say a month from now, they request a phone call. Well, because I go through so many people on a day-to-day basis and a week-to-week basis, let's say Diane has a great interaction with me in my live, and maybe she downloads something this week, and then I follow up with her via email. We have a great conversation. I can come over here and I can click on, you know what, Diane is really interested in starting her own blog. A bit nervous, but she has a ton of potential. Check out her Facebook posts, something like that. Just basically a note for me to remind myself of what's going on with Diane. So then if a month from now, Diane gets, you know, connected to one of my lives, and then all of a sudden she shoots me an email. She said, Justin, I'd like to have a phone call with you. I'd like to talk to you about how you might be able to help me. Because I get that type of message all the time. Like, Diane, I know her name. Who is that? Well, how do I know her? Instead of having to dig through messages and emails and try to figure out what the heck is going on with her, I can just come down here and I can sort by name, alphabetical. Let me find Diane. Where is she? Diane right there. I can click on Diane, and then I can go over and I can look at my notes for her, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember a month ago I talked to her about a blog. And so I can give myself notes to remind myself of where these people are at. So you can sort by email, you can sort by name. I can sort by source if I wanted to. So if I wanted to look at all my Facebook ones, all my website ones, whatever, I can sort it that way. Again, you can sort by hot or cold. If I say one morning, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go on a Facebook mission on Saturday morning. I can come up here to Facebook friends, and I can do, I can sort by all the blanks that I have. So blanks only. And it's going to show me all the people that I have on my list that I'm not connected on Facebook. So I can just sit here and go on a hunt for all these names on Facebook and see if I can find all these people on Facebook. So there's a variety of different ways that you can use this list, y'all, but that's how it works. Not too terribly complicated. It really is just a matter of how you manage it and how you use it to work for yourself. Something else I was going to tell you. Talked about impressions. I think that was it. Questions? Does that make sense? Is that doable? I know it's a lot to look at, but it's doable, right? And really, I don't want you to try to get, I don't want you to get overwhelmed with the idea of, man, how do I maintain this? How do I, you know, whatever. Really, I mean, I firmly believe, guys, this is for all of us, myself included. Our businesses will grow at the same pace at which we're able to develop and build new relationships. That's it.
Yes.
I mean, when people are like, Justin, how do I get paying clients? The first question I'll ask is, how many new relationships are you making on a weekly basis? What's your process for new connections? How do you make new connections, and how are you cultivating those connections? What do you mean? I mean, that's it. Because the people that you build relationships with are your buyers. The people that are engaged in your Facebook group or connected to your content or interacting with you in your email list, whatever it is, those are the people that are going to buy from you. And so if I ask, I should be able, at any point in time, I should be able to ask you, what are the 10 next people that are most likely to buy from you in the next 6 months? You should have an idea of who those 10 people are and be like, you know what? If I could count them off the top of my hand, these are the people that are, you know, most engaged with me and really feel like are moving down the right path. And if you don't have an idea of who those people are, it's probably because you're just staying surface in your connections, or you don't have a way to look at it. You might actually have some fantastic connections out there, but you don't have a way to visibly track it and look at it and really put some facts to where that person is. So this tool gives you that ability to map that out so you can see who you're working with, see who you're engaging with, and see who's progressing with you towards a purchase. All right. Questions for me? That's a lot on a Monday morning with all the other things that we got going on this morning. I know that's not a simple pump me up motivational speech for this morning, but that's a powerful tool. It's a game changer, y'all. All right. That's why I've taken the time to show it to you and give you this tool this morning. All right. So I'm going to leave you with that. I will upload this recording for you as soon as I get a chance, as soon as it gets downloaded. Get into the forum. Try not to let the size and all the functions of the forum overwhelm you. I'm just going to challenge you and encourage you just to start placing some people on that thing. And it does get kind of fun because for me, it becomes challenging. Like as soon as I have a connection, like let's say Jamie's brand new, Jamie comes in and, or maybe leaves me a great comment on a Facebook post or something and be like, Jamie, I wonder what she's up to. So I click on Jamie and I go and she's recently published a new book and she's creating a new business and she's got all these things. And I'm like, Jamie's cool. I'm gonna be connected to her. I'm gonna throw Jamie on my lead list. And I'll just drop her out there, send her a friend request, see if she accepts it. And now Jamie's on my lead list. I mean, so it's just like I had a lady I sent a friend request to over the weekend. She came up as a recommended friend. So I clicked on her and she's just recently started a blog. She had 3 different blog posts. I read her blog post, looked at it. I'm like, I could see myself progressing with her because she's got a lot of potential. So I sent her a friend request and stuck her on my lead list. She sent me a message in Messenger. She says, hey, I see your friend request. She says, are we friends? Do we know anybody? And I'm like, that's funny. So I wrote her back as I can't remember her name. I think her name was Ty, if I recall. Yeah, her name's Ty. I said, and she's actually from New England, or I'm sorry, the United Kingdom. So I sent her a message back, said, hey, Ty, yeah, you actually just came up as a recommended friend. We had 4 friends mutual. I'm not sure how we're connected that way, but I said, but I saw that you're a business owner and you're starting a blog. I took some time to read your blog, loved the particular post on blank, and gave her some feedback on one particular one. I said, I just love what you're doing. Seemed like a like-minded person, so thought it'd be a great connection. She wrote me back, oh my gosh, thanks so much for taking time to read my blog. Now I'm looking at your page. I see what you do. So glad to be connected. Friend, messenger, I'm filling in my lead list, impression, conversation. I'm filling that list in as we go. So you just never know where those connections are going to come from. So now I'm keeping an eye out for Ty to see if she might end up joining in one of my broadcasts or following along on one of my other things. And so now I'm building up that impression. That's just one person. So my mission on a weekly basis and then on a monthly basis, again, when I talk about my business growth and my volume and people are asking me, how's business going? I can judge how my business is going from that list. I can go and ask myself, how many new connections did I make this month? How many new relationships am I building? And if I'm making new relationships and at the pace at which I'm developing all these new connections, then I've got some growth to come. But if I'm not making new connections, I'm going to be sitting still until I figure out a way to commit some time and effort to tracking those people. All right. So that's what I got for you today, y'all. Y'all are amazing. Let me get you to your Monday. Victoria, go ahead.
Yeah. If you have more than one business, are you able to put them all still on that tracker and just be able to pull them up by business?
What I would do, you could add, like if you wanted to add a column, you could add a column to it and you could sort it by type of business. If I don't know, it depends on how you want to do it. You could add a column and sort it by business, or you could just save the form twice. So you could have, one form for one business and one for the other. Totally, but you could totally do that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great question. All right, y'all. Have a great Monday. I will see you around the web. All right. Take care and God bless, guys. Bye-bye.